This great conversation that we're about to have. How's it going, Lisa?
It's going great. It's so good to see you, Kenny. Thanks for having me on Beyond Normal.
Yes, you definitely fit into the mold of what it is to be beyond normal. So without further ado, want to share a little bit about your story prior to you starting Ascentim with the folks. Tell us a little bit about Lisa before you went down the path of starting your own business.
Yeah, so let's go way back, right? I am the youngest of 8 children. I grew up in St. Louis, Missouri, so that's the show me state. And I spent 30 years in corporate America, which is where our paths cross, right? Much of that career was in financial services. And I worked my way up through the ranks, doing all of the things that people tell us to do to be successful in your career, and did certainly achieve a level of success. I reached the executive ranks within Synchrony, was leading a $2.5 billion portfolio, helping to grow our clients' business and building teams. And I loved what I was doing, honestly. Synchrony was a great company. I had a big, broad set of responsibilities that, allowed me to feel good about the work that I was doing. But I just had this calling, really, a sense that I could be more helpful in helping other people to grow their careers, achieve the life they want to have, being outside of corporate America. And that's what led me really to starting Ascentim.
This episode is brought to you in partnership with Ascentim, which is an award-winning coaching practice that helps high-performing professionals advance and achieve the promotions and pay they deserve. Ascend to powerful heights with Ascentim.
Appreciate you giving us that breakdown there. Some incredible numbers, like you said. We cross paths in corporate America. You being, established and being an executive in corporate America, like that's a hard feat. We don't see too many people that look like us, right? That reach those ranks. So, with that being said, you were seeing some success. Like, what was it that drove you to what I like to call jump off the cliff and start your own business?
Well, and it's interesting you say jump off the cliff, because I literally did jump. It was a leap of faith. And to be very candid, when I left Synchrony, I had no plans about starting a business. If you had said, well, what are you going to do? I would have said, I don't know. I'm just retiring and I'll figure it out. I'm walking by faith. But what happened was, really shortly before I left Synchrony, I was hosting a series of roundtables for people that were part of our African American network. The goal was to give them exposure to senior executives. And just in the course of those conversations with them, I started to realize something. I loved what I was doing. Then I said to them, if I could figure out a way to do just this, that's what I would do for my career. And if I could figure out how to get paid to do this, that's what I would do. And so that kind of started me thinking about what to do. The company offered a voluntary severance plan. I raised my hand and said, okay, sever me. Not really sure what I was going to do, but I made the leap. And having some downtime, being outside of the normal grind of being an executive in corporate America, it allowed me the freedom to think and plan like what would be next. And it just sort of naturally unfolded. As people found out I'd left, they wanted to know what I was doing. And some people said, hey, would you coach me? And that's how it started. I said, sure, of course I'll coach you. And then the pieces started to fall into place.
Hey, isn't it crazy how things just line up sometimes? Like you said,
it really is. It is crazy. Because someone said to me, this was before I even left, she said, well, when you start your coaching practice, let me know. And that was strange to me because I'd never mentioned starting a coaching practice. It wasn't something that I had planned to do. So there's this thing, right? Sometimes people see something in us that we don't see in ourselves, or we're giving off some vibe that we may not be aware of. So obviously she thought that I was planning to coach and that I would be a good coach, because she said, hey, when you start your coaching practice, let me know.
That's awesome. And like, it like, I was one of the people who was having conversations with you, and I was like, Lisa, I want to keep talking to Lisa. Like, that's like, similar to your point. Like, I want to continue this conversation, and so having that like coaching kind of show itself to you in that light, and people just kind of, hey, what are you doing next? Oh, you're gonna be coaching? Like, sign me up. Like, that is like, that's a beyond normal concept, and that's something that we like to highlight on the show, where it's like, it's not necessarily like documented completely how it's going to go, but for some reason it worked out. And now you're in this position where you have your own business. So now you've been in it for, tell folks how long you've been, Ascentim has been established.
Well, I established Ascentim in April of 2021. So right in the middle of a global pandemic. Left my big cushy corporate job and started a coaching practice. And I'm so glad that I did. It's been a fun ride for sure. A lot of work, but also very rewarding.
And before we leave this, like this topic, like starting a business during that time, it's very interesting to see, like, I was on Clubhouse, I was on all these different platforms where people are actually at home looking for dialogue around how to progress their career, or just get to that next step in life. And so, like, it's like perfect timing for Ascentim to be put into the world, in my view. And that's why I'm excited today. One of the reasons why I'm excited today to have the conversation with you.
Oh, thank you for saying that. Yeah, it's interesting. I think the pandemic, for a lot of people, it gave them space to think and rethink about their life and what's really important to them. That break that we had, where most of us were forced to be at home and to step away from that normal routine. People realized, wait a minute, especially those that had long commutes. Like, I don't want to drive an hour one way to get to work anymore. I like being at home and being able to have the opportunity to balance working and getting my job done, but also having time at home with my kids or with my family. And so getting people to come back into the office, getting them to go back to the normal grind pre-COVID was just not a thing. And many people said, wait a minute, I don't want to do the work that I was doing at all.
Real eye-opening moment. It forced a lot of people to sit down and start to really think through things.
For sure.
So I want to put the logo on the screen there. Tell us a little bit about the logo, because I think that there's some meaning in there with the 3 pillars that you focus on. I did my research, Lisa.
I can hear it. And thank you for doing that. Listen, people will say to me all the time, Ascentim, what does that mean? What is that? So again, another one of those things that just came together. So there are 3 pillars to Ascentim: connections, careers, and finances. And the logo really represents, each piece of the logo represents one of those pillars. So the foundation is connections, and that's all about relationships, because I firmly believe that everything we're going to have in this life will come through another person. If you want to be successful in any area of your life, you must get good at building relationships, not just networking, but truly developing meaningful connections with people. So that's the first piece. Then there's the careers piece, and that is all about the way in which you make your impact on the world. So that could be working for someone else. It could be hosting a podcast. It could be starting your own business, but whatever that is for you, helping in that area is what we call careers. And then the last piece is finances. And for some people, that seems like an odd component, but it's so important, because as you're growing your career and you start to earn more and you're going up the ladder, in whether it's in your business or working for someone else, the question is, what are you doing with the money that you're making? Do you have a solid plan for your finances, so that if you decide one day, like I did, to raise your hand and leave the company, that you know you can provide for yourself, that you can fund your life, and you don't have to be bound to someone else's schedule, someone else's expectations, but you have the freedom of choice. And what I've discovered over my career and my lifetime is those three things working together: the connections, your career, and your money. That is the key for success. If you get all of those appropriately balanced, the sky is the limit for you. And so ascent naturally represents, those pieces coming together form a triangle, which is one of the strongest structures that exists. It's pointing upward, which represents growth. And that is all about ascent, or ascending from one level to the next, because there is no destination that's called success. Success is a journey. And as you reach one new level, you'll realize new opportunities and possibilities, and you'll go to the next. And so it's about that continuous progress and movement upward or forward.
I love that, Lisa. And as you were breaking that down, it makes perfect sense to me. The logo. I'm curious, like in terms of the connections that you made as a business owner. Like obviously, there's areas where we know that we come in and we're strong at, but then there's other areas where we may not necessarily. There may be some opportunities, some areas where we know we want to spend a little bit more time. What's an area as a business owner, now that you're wearing that hat, where you knew that coming in that you had to spend a little bit more time developing that skill set, or just gaining that experience?
Yeah, for me, and this may sound funny, but it really is the connections piece. I feel like I realized way too late in life just how important building those meaningful connections are. So, throughout the course of my career, you can imagine, having worked over 30 years in Fortune 100 companies, I've met, networked with, and known a lot of people. But what I didn't do very well is getting to know them at a deeper level, allowing them to know me at a deeper level, and then staying in touch with people. So, as a business owner, and really in any area of your life, you need people. You need people who have skills that you don't have to help you. You need people who can put you in connection with their networks to give you access to people that you wouldn't have access to. You need people to share information with you so that you can learn and continue to grow. And so I am still and continuously working on that, expanding my network. And so I'm being very proactive about doing that now, because it's so important, not just for building my client base, but also for me to continue to grow as a business owner, as a leader, and expanding my knowledge through learning from other people.
That makes perfect sense, Lisa, around, just focusing so much on the connections that you're making, as you're establishing your business. And so for all the business owners out there, like, networks are currency, relationships are currency. We all have heard it, but it's great to see a business owner like yourself, Lisa. You have so much experience coming into it, but you know that you're still going to spend a little bit more time there, because there's a lot of value that you can untap having conversations with prospective customers, and even just other folks that are within the industry.
Yeah, it's so true. And if I could share this piece about that, Kenny, what I would say is, and one of my coaches and connections said this to me. She used the term NATO, NATO. That means not attached to outcome. And so when you're meeting people and trying to form connections, you really cannot be attached to the outcome. In other words, you don't go in it with the agenda of getting something. Rather, you go into it with just purely open, with the curious mindset, wanting to learn, discover, and know more about that individual, and then allow the outcome to be whatever it is. So when I meet someone new, I don't expect that they're going to be my next client, or I don't expect even that they're going to lead me to my next client. A lot of times it's me offering and sharing who I am and what I can give in support of them. And then time will tell what that connection will be. And so I've just learned to really just to be open and be curious in that way, about just genuinely getting to know people, asking questions to understand. And then amazing things just tend to happen, surprising things that you could not have anticipated.
I'm curious, as people potentially come to you for coaching opportunities, do you find them being able to let go of what you just explained easily, like,
No, it's not easy.
because for me, like what you just explained, I was like, I don't know if I can do that with every person.
It's tough because we are so conditioned really to be focused on what we can get from a situation. It's not even um not necessarily even negative the place that we're coming from, but it's like I'm meeting with this person because I want something or I need something. I believe that they have something that I want or need. And that's okay. But when you come to it that way, what happens is you're so focused on that you miss other potential opportunities that you could not have anticipated. And you run the risk of coming across as someone who's just in it for themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So if you can release any expectations around that, then surprising things just happen.
Yeah, I appreciate you putting it in that perspective. But in today's world, I don't know what it is with the social media and some of the other things that are out there. People just have this transactional
Yeah.
mentality that it's just sometimes hard to get over. But like you said, as you coming in with a business, it's more important on having that dialogue, making sure it's a two-way street. And then you figure out what the value is that you get on the back end, but you know, at least know that, you know, there's value in having a conversation.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's also knowing that it's going to take time, right? It's investing
Mm-hmm.
time, because if I just met you today and you're asking me for money, you're asking me to connect you to someone, you haven't earned the right yet to ask me for those kinds of things that influence, your connections. Those relationships give you the ability to influence, but that's earned over time as I begin to know you better, as I come to trust you, etc. So you just have to be willing to invest and know that it doesn't have to be a whole lot of work. We don't talk every day, right?
Mm-hmm.
We haven't, seen each other face to face since we left Synchrony now a long time ago, but we periodically connect. We say hello, like something that I've seen you post or share, or we'll chat here or there. It just keeps the relationship going. And certainly when you said, hey, I have this podcast, I'm like, yeah, that's cool. Let me learn more about it. I had no
Mm-hmm.
expectation that I would be invited. I was genuinely just happy to see you doing your thing.
Yeah. Nah, that's a great way to that's a great way to put it. And I like you throwing out there the idea of like you can like a post, you can share, share something that you saw with your network. There's still value in that, and I
Mm-hmm.
don't want that to go lost. Like, for me, like you said, somebody taking the time out of the day to share, like, listen to an episode. For me, that's power. Even
Yeah.
though I'm not necessarily going to every single person and asking them to spend $1. But my business is there's still value in that for me, and that feeds me to keep me going.
Yeah, for sure. And there's someone wiser than me said, the way to get what you want is to help other people get what they want.
That's a gem. That's a gem right there. I appreciate you dropping those gems on our platform, Lisa. So going a step below the three pillars,
Mhm.
there's another aspect that you built into the business around from a coaching perspective when it comes to the growth
Yeah.
that folks can see when it comes to finances, careers, and connections. Can you tell us a little bit about how you think about your participants in your program growing?
Yeah. So grow is really several things at Ascentim. It is the whole purpose for why we do what we do is helping ourselves and others to grow. That's number one. Number two, it is the methodology or the process that I use for coaching. So in that context, grow stands for gain insight, realize new possibilities, overcome obstacles, win at life. And that's the journey that we're taking you on through the coaching process, that beginning with gathering information, getting the insight around who you are, what you value, what you want, understanding where it is you're trying to go. Because the whole goal of growing and coaching is to move you from where you are now to where you really want to be. And so we start by gathering that information and getting insight. Once you have clarity and insight a whole new world of possibilities opens up. And that's where the realizing possibilities comes in. That's where we start to envision how you get from where you are to where you want to be. That's where we envision what success for you looks like, because for every person, that's very different. And then we get into the planning part of that. And that's where overcoming obstacles comes in, because no matter what you envision for your life, no matter how clear you are about it, there are things that are going to come up that potentially can get in your way. Sometimes it's our own mindsets and beliefs. And so we work through that and plan for those obstacles. So when they show up, you already know how you're going to overcome them. And the ultimate goal is winning at this game that we call life. And so that's what it means overall in the context of Ascentim and the grow process. And then when we get into the area of finances, it's a whole other ball game. Grow means get out of debt, retain more of your income, organize your assets so you can walk in wealth. But they're all part and parcel of the same thing. And that is having a life that you love and enjoying every aspect of your life.
I appreciate that breakdown, Lisa. And once I saw this, I listened to some other content that you had out there from the actual people in your program, that their testimonials. And the cool thing that I saw was that, obviously this program applies to people who are in a career, trying to move up the ladder. They're trying to figure out where they fit within the organization. But you also have people who are in your program that have started, they're business owners themselves.
Yeah.
They're entrepreneurs, and this same thinking, the same logic applies when you're starting your business.
Absolutely does. It absolutely does. Whether you're working for someone else or starting a business, the same process applies. So if you're going to start a new business, you're going to start by getting some insight, right? Who is your ideal customer? Where are they found? What is the service that you deliver? What's the value that you deliver for those customers? So you get insight around that. And then you start to realize possibilities for your business, how you can go to market, how you sort of establish your brand. All of that same process applies so that you ultimately can win, winning in business, winning in your life, winning in any aspect of your career. It really is the same. And so again, it's about the ascent, moving from one level to the next to the next.
I love it. So as you're, as you built out the program, I know there's coaching, there's a course now as well.
Yeah.
Speak to the different levels that you feel like, you're offering the products and giving people ways to connect with Ascentim.
Yeah, so the foundation of our business is coaching. That's why I exist really, and how the business started with coaching. And so I do that one-on-one for people who want that, and I offer coaching in packages of 3, 6, or 12 months, so that and I'll even do a single power coaching session for someone that has a short-term goal that they really want to meet. Like maybe they just need to get prepared for an interview that's coming up, or a big meeting, a big presentation or something. But generally that coaching piece, again, that's the foundation of what we're doing. I also speak. And so I, speak to groups small and large around these topics. And so that's another umbrella of the business. And then I just started last year, really, I did an initial pilot of the Grow Finances course, because what I realized is on this piece of finances, so many of us, even though we are working every day, many of us making 6-figure salaries, we are still living paycheck to paycheck. And that really shouldn't be. And that's an area that I'm really passionate about, especially for people of color, because we fare worse in terms of our earning, in terms of our assets, in terms of our net worth than our counterparts. And so while not everybody can afford to have me one-on-one as their coach, everybody does, I believe, deserve access to a good, solid financial education. And so that's why I launched Grow Finances. It is a 4-week course, and each of those weeks corresponds to a letter in Grow. So the first week is all about getting out of debt, teaching you how to do that. What's the fastest way to do that? Knowing your numbers. The second week is about how you retain more of your income, because it really doesn't matter as much how much you make, but what does matter is how much of that you're able to keep. so that you can invest it and build and grow your assets. And then the third week is all about how you organize and protect your assets so that as you start to build wealth, you can actually keep it and start to build a legacy for yourself. And the W again is walking in wealth. And that is, again, all about winning. And so we talk about what it really means to walk in wealth, because being wealthy is beyond just money. And so that's what the course is all about. And so I'm really excited about that. I know that it works because I've used these principles in my own life, but to see and to hear the testimonies that are coming out of the course for what people can accomplish in just 4 weeks, it is amazing.
I appreciate you breaking that down, and even some of the stats that are out there around, like you said, high income. We think people that make six figures, oh, life is good, and it's like, nah, like you still gotta have things figured out, or else you'll be in debt like the rest of us.
Over 40% of people who make six figures live paycheck to paycheck.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
that is so crazy.
It is, because a lot of it is our mindset around money. Many of us were not educated around money and how to use it. And I can say, even for myself, I worked in financial services for 25 years, and I still found myself in debt and struggling, and I knew all the things. And so it sometimes is about really just making that big shift in your mindset and really taking a hard look at where you are financially and setting some clear goals, and then having the support and the tools to help you get there. And so that's a big part of what I do as well. And that's where that finance pillar comes in, because as you start to grow your career or your business takes off and you're growing, your business is making more money, you need to know what to do with that money.
Gotta have a plan. That's like I think I can only speak for my generation, but I can say we probably spent our 20s just like in the moment.
Yeah.
Just taking it all in, and things are working out. We didn't have too much to, too much existing things outside of just like going to school, like, having a good head on your shoulder from that perspective. And so it's interesting now because we're going through situations that we've never really had to deal with. At least speaking from myself, I didn't have to worry about, the Great Recession and things going down and high interest on mortgages and things like that. It's just like, whoa, then add on, we're starting to build families a little bit later now in my generation. So now is a good time to like sit down and figure things out and make sure we feel comfortable, with what we got to work with.
Yeah, for sure. And, when you're younger too, you don't think so much about retiring or legacy. Maybe that's not something that comes into your mind, but it is important. I mean, you start now. Legacy isn't just something that happens after you die.
Yeah.
What you're living today is creating your legacy.
And like on that point about retiring, I think that like that word or like that whatever that means is shifting. Because like the traditional way of like what does it mean to retire? You work somewhere for a really long time, you have a pension and stuff like that. Like I don't even know what a pension looks like, and I'm probably
I don't know that
to.
exists anymore. And for most people, most companies are not offering a pension anymore. That's sort of a thing of the past, but that's even more so why it's important to take control of your finances, because you're right. Gone are the days where someone works for one company for 30, 35 years, they retire, they get their pension, their Social Security, and they go on with life. That doesn't happen. Most pensions don't really exist anymore. The other thing is, if you're counting on Social Security, I say forget about that, because the average Social Security check is a little bit over $1,500 a month. Now, I don't know about your life, Kenny, but I can tell you I can't fund mine on $1,500 a month. I doubt your listeners can either.
Yeah, nah, that's hard to do.
That's really not going to be enough. So if you don't have a pension and you're only getting your Social Security, let's go crazy and say you got $2,000 a month in Social Security, assuming it still exists by the time you're ready to retire. Then what? If you have not been planning and building from the time you first started working up until that point, you're going to be in a very difficult situation. And that's why we see so many people who are older who are having to go back to work, or they're forced to make very tough choices like, do I buy my medication or do I buy
Hmm.
food? Do I pay, some important bill or another? And those kinds of trade-offs should not have to happen.
Agreed.
And please don't get sick or, have to go into long-term care, which can be very, very expensive. So it is so important to plan for those things. You can prepare for that, but it's the decisions that you make each and every day that help you to be prepared for that.
Yeah, I appreciate you leaving us with that. Like it is a constant thing. Like there is
Mhm.
no, there is no silver bullet. There is no magic wand.
No,
You can go over a lot of these things, especially in our community. So
right.
with that being said, Ascentim is in a really good spot. There's multiple ways that people can connect, use the products,
Mhm.
connect with the brand. Like what does there's a term we came up with a couple seasons ago called world domination. Makes
Oh,
sense, right? What does
yeah.
world domination look like for Ascentim? You give us like 3 years if you got a 5 year goal, but
Oh
whatever that long term
man,
goal is, like
world
what is that?
domination. I feel
That
like, let me
yeah,
see.
it's one of
Let
those.
Yeah, let me tell you what world domination looks like. So for me, I have committed as part of Ascentim to give 20% of the revenue that we earn through coaching back to benefit people that are in underserved communities, to help with financial literacy and economic well-being. And so world domination for me will look like when I can flip that. I want to get to the place where I'm giving 80% of what we earn away, and that then 20% can fund the business and anything else that I want to do. And so world domination means that we have more than enough clients, more than enough services, and a team of people operating in the business to be able to meet the needs of our paid clients so that we can fund people who cannot afford these things on their own. That's what world domination looks like for Ascentim.
Oh, that's a mic drop right there, Lisa. Like that's a good. I have not heard that. I've heard a lot of founders give me what their North Star or world domination moment is,
Mhm.
and it doesn't come close to that. Like flipping, like you
Uh,
said, essentially flipping the business model, where
yeah.
typically you say, "Hey, I want to keep majority of it, but what if I could give away majority of it, and the 20% could feed the business and keep the
Yeah.
business thriving?"
Yeah. So if you think about that, right, you start to do the math, that would be world domination because that means you have to be bringing in a lot of money to where
Hmm.
20% funds everything. So that's world domination for me. My whole goal for the business and for myself really is to help people live much more meaningful and abundant lives.
I appreciate that. So tell, and in closing, I want to pass it to you. Tell folks what are the best ways for them to stay connected with the brand, and then any lasting, like what's that? What do you want to leave our listeners
Yeah.
with as we wrap up this great conversation?
Wow. So, first of all, how you can connect with me. As I said, I love connections and the value of that. So you can connect with me personally on LinkedIn. I am Lisa L. Baker on LinkedIn. You can follow Ascentim on most places. We are at Ascentim on Instagram, on Facebook. We're on Twitter at Hear You Grow. So all of those social ways in which you can connect with us. The thing that I want to leave people with, first of all, I want to share some really, really exciting news because by the time your listeners are seeing this, it will be out. So no one has heard this yet. But one of the things I am most proud of is that Ascentim is going to be on Inc.'s Best in Business list for coaching and career development. So that to me is the start of world domination. You make it on Inc. as a new business in the area that you practice. That is awesome. And so why I share that is to say, if you're looking for a coach, if you really want to take your life to the next level, you want to take your career, your business to the next level, you cannot do any better than Inc.'s Best in Business, Ascentim. So get in touch with me.
I wish I had like one of like a Funk Flex, like DJ Bomb or something like that. It's just like, did you guys hear that?
Yeah, I'm so thrilled. I mean, it's a lot of hard work and it's paying off. And I just trust that all that will come from that will take us to the place where we can achieve that big, bold goal of giving away 80% of what we earn and still being a for-profit business.
Yeah, I love it. So just wrapping things up, I just want to thank you, Lisa, for coming on the platform, sharing your journey. Our paths have crossed again. They will definitely cross even in the future, and I'll be checking in to see how that world domination is going.
Yeah,
But
keep in touch.
yeah, but we'll definitely keep in touch. Listeners, go check out the platform. Everybody needs coaching in this environment, so it's okay to get yourself a coach. Have somebody you can have a conversation with to see how you can grow, both personally and professionally. Why not? And in closing, just want to say thanks for tuning in to another great episode of the Beyond Normal podcast.